I hope that readers would take away, learning to accept the signs when they are pointing you in a direction and giving up that overthinking. And, because what do they say sometimes? She who hesitates is lost. And, sometimes you got to jump in, and that involves risk taking and being a little bit courageous.
Welcome to the Persistence You podcast with Lizbeth. That's you as in university, but we're really much more of a community here. Lizbeth Meredith is an author, speaker, and online teacher. Each week, she'll be delivering amazing stories from survivors and strivers, all threaded together with a dose of persistence. We're so glad you're listening.
For sisters and brothers, I know that the trailer, sort of the bumper at the end of the podcast, says that we will be meeting every 2 weeks. But in fact, the month of November 2025, I'm going to continue probably dropping extra episodes. So we're at more than 200 episodes if you count the bonus episodes. Today is so exciting because I have Debbie Russell coming with me. So let me tell you a little bit about her before I give you a quick personal update. All right, Debbie Russell, who I've had on the podcast before, adored because we met a good long time ago when she was considering how to publish her memoir. And so Debbie Russell is a lawyer turned writer. I'm reading her Unmapped biography. She's a lawyer turned writer who spent 25 years as an assistant county attorney to Minneapolis, prosecuting high-profile cases while navigating the toil of near burnout. At 55, she took early retirement, trading a full pension for the freedom of time. She now devotes her days to writing, restoring her land to native prairie and wetlands, and training her energetic retrievers. You should follow her on social media. You'll see them every day. Her first published article appeared in the Minnesota Star Tribune in 2001, and she became a regular contributor in 2024. Along the way, she launched a storytelling blog that blends personal stories with professional lessons learned. Her award-winning book, Crossing 51, Not Quite a Memoir, was released in 2023. Connect with her at Debbie-Russell, regularspelling.com. She is so much fun. I'd like to show up when possible and support her at a virtual event here or there, or just love her Facebook posts with her dogs. And she's so enjoyable. Her book is a great gift. Also, Persistence You podcast is being sponsored by Unmapped. Recently released, it was #1 in solo travel for new releases for a good while. And I'm so thankful that you all are supporting this wonderful anthology with brilliant women from across the globe who tell their stories about self-discovery, resilience, healing, all the things that can happen when one chooses to lean into solo travel and spend time alone. And so I'm really excited to have her today. This end of 2025, I mean, we're right at tail end. I can't believe how fast it flew. Can you believe it? I am so grateful for the opportunities. I have been retired myself for almost 5 years. And in that time, I've done many different things, including Persistence You podcasts. And it has been the people I have met and connected with have been such a treasure. I'm looking at how to do less in 2026 as I get older and older, and as writing and podcasting and all the things cost more and more and more. And I continue to work around the clock, it feels like, to be able to support that. So just know I will have this season and great contributors. And I hope you'll also listen to Hollis Pierce's, when you already did by now, listen to Hollis Pierce's episode. There are many non-unmapped contributors recently who have brilliant stories of healing and persistence. Yet, I will take a break coming in December to go on my long planned trip to Antarctica, my last continent, and continue writing my own memoir about hitting all the continents on a budget as an older, clumsy person that gets lost a lot, and the things that I've learned along the way. You can always find me at lameredith.com. And when I come back, I'll unveil what the year will look like for Persistence You, for writing, for so many things. And remember that I do book groups virtually for my different books. I have 4 now, Unmapped being one of them, in which I'm a collector and contributor. I do ask that people post online reviews for the book. I don't charge people money to do virtual events, but I do have that ask because it takes time and a lot of energy to put into those. But feel free to reach out to me at lameredith.com should you want to have me as a book group guest. And I've also done a lot of speaking lately. It's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And as you know, Unmapped supports the YWCA. In part, 50% of royalties will go to the YWCA, supporting their services for survivors, domestic abuse, and their families. The YWCA has been in operation since the 1800s and works very hard to empower women and families, children, and also supports anti-racism efforts. Very, very solid services worldwide. Thanks for being here, and I can't wait to introduce you to Debbie. Please share these with a friend or let me know how you're liking these episodes. I often feel like I put in 10, 15 hours for each episode and I don't hear back anything. And then people will later say, oh, I love it. I love your podcast. It really helps when you share, when you post, whatever. It just means the world and makes the podcast more visible to other people who need it. Debbie Russell, thank you again for making time to be on Persistence You. I am tickled to see you, and I'm so honored that you're in Unmapped. Can you tell? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Tell me.
No, I just wanted to tell you I am so happy to be here and to see you again.
It's awesome to see you. You're always such a ray of light. I was telling the listeners that I follow you on Facebook and watch you in your walks every day, and I may not always comment, but I just love to see you, and you have a good social media presence. Debbie, when you decided to write your essay for Unmapped, how did you decide to write it? Because you've written Crossing 51, a whole full-fledged memoir. You've been the contributor to the newspaper. You've written extensively, but Discovering the Land of Renewed Confidence. How did you decide that?
Well, first of all, I loved the idea of the project. So when you put out your call for submissions, I was super excited as to what the final product would look like. For me personally, though, I have been a solo traveler for much of my life. And so I would have had to have gone back to my 30s, I think, when I took my first big road trip by myself. And as somebody who's now just turned 60, I thought, well, I'm not really in that mindset anymore. And what could I write that is more recent and more pertinent to who I am now? Because what is so lovely about this book is everybody has something that they've contributed that is an important part of their life. And for me, learning how to tow a camper, learning how to travel in a camper was a huge, huge event in my life. And so it occurred to me that maybe I could write about that as opposed to some specific trip. And I've had the camper now for 2 years, but my memories of how I obtained the camper, purchased the camper, the whole thing was, in my mind, just really a fun story. And so that's kind of how I came to write something that was more current for me that I thought might still apply to what you were looking for the book.
I love that you did that so much. I think there are many of us, including one of my adult daughters deep in her 30s, who's saying, I want to be able to travel by a camper, yet I have anxiety about buying it, attaching it, all the things. I mean, it is a big deal. It's not a small undertaking. And I'm sure being able to move through that really was a confidence builder for you.
Well, it was, and as I write in the essay, it it went so fast, and this feeling of being propelled in a certain direction. I'm not religious, but I very much believe in the universe. And there are things over the course of my life that have happened in really such a speedy fashion that it's almost like you don't have time to question what's going on. And I am a recovering overthinker. I am a recovering catastrophizer, I still have these relapses now and again. But the way this whole event unfolded over the course of just a very few days. I mean, within a few days, I had been approved for loans to finance these things, and I found the perfect vehicle to tow the camper. I had a brief dalliance, I'll call it, with a class C, which is one of those that you drive. I didn't even know really anything about the various types of campers, and but I had a really weird feeling when I sat in the class C that this was not the right choice. And I don't want to give away my essay, but it was a very interesting 24 hours that I went through. And then sort of, being able to untangle myself from that and then start on a different path and have that path that was a mode path with signposts either way. I mean, it was so clear that this is the direction that I needed to be going. And just, if anything, I hope that readers would take away, learning to accept the signs when they are pointing you in a direction and giving up that overthinking. And, because what do they say sometimes? She who hesitates is lost. And, sometimes you got to jump in, and that involves risk taking and being a little bit courageous. So, yeah, that is how I viewed it at the time and now.
It's huge. That really is. It's a big thing to learn to trust ourselves and and also to get out of our comfort zone. I picture if I lived close to a brother or I had a beefy guy in my life who was very good with vehicles, which I find less and less that is true in the world of these days. But if I had that, maybe I could do that. But if not, how am I going to do it? So I think it's easy to talk ourselves out of our dreams.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think as women of a certain age, we we have we have grown to depend on men just simply because they are physically stronger or have more experience. I mean, as a Gen Xer myself, I think I was still raised where the boys learned one thing and the girls learned other things. And,
Right.
you had to overcome that as an adult if you wanted to do things on your own or without the assistance of a male partner.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you did it. I mean, I love there's a particular part at the end of your essay that I just love where you write, more importantly, each trip is an important journey through the territories of my mind, where optimism, self-confidence, joy, pride, and strength lay waiting to be stimulated. I love that. I love that. So well done. I was really excited to get it. So thank you. What did it feel like to write an essay after writing and promoting a memoir for the last couple of years? Because I know memoir, that's a lot of words.
It is. And I will say what's been fun for me is through the promotion of or marketing of the memoir, one of the things that we are encouraged to do as debut authors is set up a newsletter. And I have been able to find something to write about every month. They're very short, my newsletters, but I've also been very grateful to have my local paper take on some of the essays that I've written, and those get up to 750 words. And it it is nice to keep your writing chops strong and succinct. I mean, that is the nice thing about word limits, as with your project and with the newspaper. They basically, you've got to kind of get your thoughts out in a succinct fashion. And I like to think of myself as a pretty efficient writer, but sometimes I look at a sentence and it's like, oh, did I need all those words? I think I probably could say, Stephen King is great in his advice on writing, where he says, don't use any more words than you actually need. But it has been it's been nice to kind of keep writing while I've been in between big projects. So
Right.
that's been nice.
Well, I am so thrilled with it. Thank you for contributing. And tell me what has happened recently. What are you working on now?
Well, I'm thrilled that I was awarded a grant. I'm in central Minnesota, and we have a fabulous organization here. It's the Central Minnesota Arts Board, and it supports artists in just a few counties in central Minnesota. And when I moved out here from Minneapolis, I had no idea such an entity existed. And um, it's a wonderful organization, and there's funding through private organizations, and they administer grants and scholarships and awards. And I was able to apply for and receive an artist career development grant, which for me it's kind of a huge thing, because I am at this point, finally, after 5 years, acknowledging that I am an artist with a career. And so I put in for this grant to get funding to work on my next full-length book, which is going to be a book of fiction. And the funds will help me hire an editor. It will also help pay for the continued marketing of my first book, because the point, hopefully, will be that the second work of fiction will cover some of the themes that I explored in my first book, my memoir.
Love it. That is fantastic and very strategic, smart. And it's good for people to remember. I mean, writing, even if you are traditionally published, it tends to cost us writers up front. I don't think people know that there are things that we invest in long before it's ready that used to old publishing houses would pay for. They would pay for marketing. They would pay for all the editing. They would pay for so many things. Those days are gone. So how wonderful that you took the time, applied for it, received it, and can really invest in this. I'm so excited for you. That sounds very lovely. Where can people learn more about this and keep in touch with you, maybe on your newsletter, or find out more about Crossing 51?
Well, I think the easiest way is right at my website, because everything is right there. It's www.debbie, DEBBIE -Russell, RUSSELL.com. And I am actually working on my website this morning, and I do want to add a link for folks to purchase Unmapped, because I want people to be able to find this book every way they can. And so I'm so proud of how it turned out. I just want to put a plug in for you, because I have had several compliments on the cover. And yeah, and so I'm excited to just keep pushing it out there.
Thank you so much. And I have to just say I was lucky to meet him, but it is a cover artist named Bjorn Larson, who lives in the Netherlands, and he belongs to We Love Memoirs, a Facebook group, the author group he belongs to, and he does amazing covers. He really does. So
It's
thank you for
beautiful.
saying that. It makes me
It's
so happy. I did get
beautiful.
to pick what was going to be on it, but he made it like thing. So yay. I'm so glad you're in my community and always will be. And I look forward to seeing what happens next with you. And thank you for this.
And thank you, Lizbeth. I appreciate it.
This has been fun.
We hope you've enjoyed this week's show. Thank you so much for listening. Now, to find out more, head on over to lameredith.com. And be sure to hop on the mailing list too. If you've enjoyed this show, please leave a rating and review or share with a friend. And if you really, really liked it, go ahead and subscribe so that you never miss another episode. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode of Persistence U with Lizbeth.